Hi, it's Ginny Lindsay from 2 to 3 Relationship Counselling in Crow's Nest. I just wanted to talk today about family of origin and how important it is to understand who we are today, even as an adult, is because of where we've come from. So, what do I mean by that? Basically, you were born into a family, and in your family, you were shaped by that family. You were shaped by the messages you received. Some of those messages were verbal, and some were non-verbal. So you knew what that look meant when your mum or dad used to give you that particular look. You'd know what it meant, and you would just go and do it. You were also shaped by your family beliefs, by your family expectations, by what was appropriate or not appropriate, and then how you were allowed to do your emotional experience. So, what do I mean by that? So, if you had a mum or dad that were, if you were upset, able to be with your emotional experience, which meant if you were having a tantrum on the ground, that they were happy just to sit, let you have it, and then not go anywhere, not tell you off, but actually be able to say, I can see you're really angry, I can see you're frustrated, and I'm here. When you calm down, come over to me and we can sit down and try and work out what's going on. And you sort of wait for them to settle, and you use the adult self to actually calm the child down. And the other option and the opposite to that was where, for the majority of a lot of us, we grew up with parents that would go to your room until you can quieten down, don't answer back, and you weren't allowed to even have an opinion. You had to, boys weren't allowed to show emotion. They had to sort of push that emotion down. So really what it's saying is, they weren't happy to be with your emotional experience. So if they're not able to be with your emotional experience, which is quite different than being with the emotional experience that I shared a minute ago, then we have to learn how to do self-soothing ourselves of that. And so we find ways to be able to soothe ourselves and to cope in the world. And so we find coping mechanisms. And we'll try those on through school, when we leave school in our 20s, 30s, and so on. And so what happens when I notice when people, and I have these beautiful couples that come into my room, let's call the female system one. So she has her family of origin story. The other partner will be system two. So he or she will have then their family and their family story that goes through. So then what happens is, between the two of them, we have another system, and that's the relationship, which I call system three. So when people come in to see me, I'm really wanting to actually nurture system three by us understanding how system one and two come together and affect the relationship. So if two people have learnt how to do their emotional experience differently, then there's going to be not necessarily understanding each other. So it's the beauty of doing the couple work is to be able to start listening and understanding, firstly, how do I do self? So the light needs to go on self. What do I do with my emotional experience? Do I shut down? Do I defend? Do I attack? Do I go into being criticizing? Or do I withdraw? Or what do I actually do? Because when we come out of that place, where obviously the receiver is going to have a response. They're going to have a feeling first, then a thought, and then they're going to act out of that. So are they going to attack, or are they going to defend, or are they going to withdraw? Like, what are they going to do? So we get into these dances. So what the beauty of couple work is to actually firstly shine the light on self, to be able to understand, how do I do my emotional experience? And how then, what is my part and my responsibility that I could do differently, to get my needs met, but also how do I then learn the skills to communicate effectively with my partner what is actually going on for myself. So family of origin has a massive impact that plays out as adults. So even though we might be an adult sitting here, because of where we've come from and because of what was modeled and expected of us in our beliefs, values, expectations, and what was appropriate or not appropriate in our family of origin, that's highly going to influence then how I walk in the world. then how I do my emotional experience is also going to be how I do it to keep naturally myself safe. So when you put two people together, even from the same family, how they might do their emotional experience might look quite different. So then, when you put different cultures together, it's also understanding how this culture does it and how this culture. So, couple work provides actually a wonderful opportunity for people to learn about self, but also to learn about the nuances of the other person so they can actually start really understanding each other. And that's the key, understanding self, understanding other, so then they can actually nurture system 3, the love of the relationship that sits between them. So maybe have a reflection on when you're thinking about, what were the family rules, the family values, the family beliefs and expectations. And when it came to emotions, what was I allowed or not allowed to do? Was I nurtured or was I sent off to my room and told to calm down and then come out when you're calm, which meant you had to learn to self-soothe yourself and your parents weren't there? Because all of that is going to influence how you do couples and how you do relationships, whether it be with family, friends, work, or your partner. So have a think about that. And Merry Christmas. It's nearly Christmas time. It's beautiful. Summer is now on its way. And just think about this, because all of this is going to help you understand yourself, which then helps you understand your relationship.